Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is a very special collaboration webinar with the gorgeous Mary Schiller, Mary from Mary in Paris, which is such a cool name. And I am so happy to do this for you. I'm briefly going to say why I'm doing it and introduce Mary, and then she can take it away and introduce herself properly with her background. So, I'm doing this for my community because, first of all, I admire Mary Schiller, and she's such a good egg, and she is such a heartfelt entrepreneur. And it was quite a surprise to me when I met her just how heartfelt she is and how businesslike she is. And really, she's my first example of how you can bring the two things together. I've had the great opportunity of meeting Mary in person and spending some time with her in Paris and sharing cake and coffee. So highly recommend that. And I also worked with Mary. I've done a number of her programs, her mentoring program, and other exciting things. And I became an author, a business author, because of Mary. This is my book that Mary helped me to publish, and she'll talk more about that sort of process shortly. But this little book, this tiny little book, um, is so helpful because it is me, it is my heartfelt message, and I use it everywhere. So I give it away when I do speaking events, I give it away to people that I meet on the plane, for instance. And it's short and sweet, and everybody gets something from it, and they know how to contact me. So it's very powerful to have a little mini book of your own. That's why I wanted Mary to come along and talk about what she does and the special magic that she does. So, for the people who don't know who you are, Mary, I'll leave you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. That was so nice, Jacqueline. I am Mary Schiller, and I am Mary in Paris, or if I were speaking French, I would say Marie à Paris. Got a nice ring to it in French too. I have actually been, I just realized this right before we joined. I've actually been a professional writer for 32 years. I started as a journalist, and then I moved into marketing, copywriting, and producing. I did at in my local community in California where I was living for many years. I did local TV commercials, producing, writing, and all kinds of things for our local public radio station. And basically, I've written pretty much everything that one could write, including very technical things. I've ghost written a lot for people over the years. At one point, I was working for a company that's what they did was ghostwriting for professionals. So, for example, I remember I wrote a series of articles for architecture magazines that had an architect's name on them, but I wrote all of the articles. And actually, I took to ghostwriting quite naturally because as a journalist, I was writing feature stories, and every week I was having to learn some new thing. I was writing 3 to 4 stories a week, and everything was new. I didn't know anything about certain professions, and so I had to learn really quickly. So I think that ghostwriting was a natural aspect of my writing career because I'm a very quick study and still am today. So over all of these years, I have really enjoyed doing all different types of writing and meeting all different types of people, learning so much. It's been a beautiful career, and I hope to continue it until the end, basically. I can't imagine not writing. I first wrote my own book back in 2011. It took me about a year and a half. It was a memoir, And I published that book myself under a pseudonym because of the nature of the topic. I felt unsure about my safety at that time and whether it was okay for me to put my name on the book. So for a few years, it had a pseudonym on it. And then after that, I decided, I'm ready to put my own name on it. So I put my own name on it and republished it myself on Amazon, etc. So that was my first foray into self-publishing and writing an actual book. That book was fairly long. I think it was around 70 or 80,000 words. So it's an actual book, big book, not a mini book. But the the trajectory of my life changed quite dramatically with my writing and other things in 2016, almost exactly 10 years ago to the day. At that point, I had had a blog for a few months that I had been running called The Daily Principles, based in something called The Three Principles. And it was just a personal blog. It had nothing to do with coaching. I didn't even think of becoming a coach at that point. So it was just for myself, and I had a few people who signed up to get this daily audio sent to them. And at one point, I was running a little Facebook group for friends and family. It was called Life Spark. I'll never forget that. And they said, Mary, could you write a little book that explains the three principles a little bit more succinctly and something that we could give to people or, use to talk to people? I was like, okay. So I wrote this little book. It's about 6,000 words called The Joy Formula. And I just made it a PDF, but I remember I spent so much time designing the PDF because I wanted it to look really good. And I was playing with the colors and I put way too much effort in. So I ended up putting that on my blog as a free gift if somebody joined my email list. So they would get the daily audio and they would get this book. And about maybe a month after I did that, one of my lovely subscribers messaged me and said, Mary, I think you ought to try putting this book on Amazon because I think you should start to earn a little money from it instead of just giving it away like this because it's really good. And I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea how to do that because when I did it with my memoir, I had a service that did it for me. So I had no idea how that was done. So I figured it out. It took me a while to figure out because 10 years ago, it wasn't as seamless as it is now. It was a little more convoluted, but I figured out how to do the Kindle version and the paperback version. And that was really the springboard for everything that came after that. Shortly after all of this was going on, I ended up losing my job and decided really kind of out of nowhere to become a coach. I had really no business life coach. I didn't have any training. I didn't have a reputation per se. But what I did have was that book that people had started to read. And I had made a few, connections in that community at that time. And I had some followers from this daily blog, which I kept doing for several more months. And so I really credit the Joy Formula, that 6,000 word book, for being a big piece of the launch of my coaching business. It was huge, even though it was such a small book. It was also a really fun experiment for me as a writer to see if I could write a book other than my memoir. Like, wonder what I could do. And so the next one I did is called Mind Yoga. I do have a copy of this one. I don't have the Joy Formula. Another really thin book. But this one was very, very popular as well. People loved it. And so over the years, I kept writing these mini books and putting them on Amazon. And to this day, 10 years later, I still have people finding me through these books. I will get emails from people saying, oh, I read your book. It was really impactful to me. Or they'll comment on a YouTube video and say, oh, I've read all of your books. Or I get comments like that on my courses in Insight Timer. So all that to say, the size of a book means nothing. The size means nothing. It's more about what a book signals to people, which to me, when I see that someone has written a book, a nonfiction book, it signals to me that they have the courage to put their name to something that is going to last. My books will way outlive me, hopefully. And, I don't know how many people have read them by now. I would have no way of knowing because people, pass around the paperback versions, which I've done some of them in that version too. And it's just a very exciting thing to know that no matter what I'm doing, and after I'm not here anymore, people are still going to benefit from what I have put into these short books that I'm now calling mini books. And I do think that when I first started and I didn't have any reputation as a coach, I know for a fact that having the joy formula and then mind yoga really helped boost my credibility quite fast. Because again, I had put my name on something, people could go read it and go, "Oh, I like the way she's talking about this. What's it like to work with her?" And then they would reach out to me. So that's kind of a brief history around me and mini books. One thing I discovered maybe on the fifth or sixth one, I don't even know how many I've written at this point. I have several sitting in Dropbox that I've not even published yet. I've probably written about 20 of them by this point, and I don't know how many are currently available on Amazon, maybe like 10 or something. I'm not even sure. But one thing I figured out about halfway through those was that I could deliver a class and I could take the transcript of that class and turn it into a book much faster than just starting to write from scratch. Now, this was before AI was available, so I was doing it by hand. So I was getting the transcript done and then I was going through and, marking things, and I was pretty good at organizing a class in such a way that I could turn it into a book, but it didn't always work because when you speak, it's not the same as if you're reading something or writing something. So sometimes I would have to fiddle with the order of things or whatever. But that did save me a lot of time because essentially I was speaking the first draft of the book. And then I could just take it and organize it and edit it and do all of those things, and it would become a book much faster than starting from scratch. So that's what I started to do more of. Well, then when ChatGPT came along, I have to admit that when I first saw ChatGPT, I was a real snob about it because I was like, I've been a professional writer for 30 years. I can write probably faster than this AI tool and better. Like, what is this about? This is silly. And then I started playing around with it and I was like, oh, hey, wait a second. It can actually take the transcript and help me to get it to that first draft a lot faster and sometimes even better than I was doing. Certainly faster, as long as I gave it the right instructions. That's what took me a while. It took me several months to figure out how to use ChatGPT in a way that it would give me the results I wanted. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but it takes a while to figure out how to communicate with the tool. And so once I figured that out, my next thought was, wow, maybe I can start doing this for other people, because up until that point, all of the ghostwriting that I had done, including actual books, had been done the old fashioned way, where I had hours of interviews with the person that were then transcribed. And I turned that into the outline. And, it was a very laborious process. And it was also quite expensive for people. And I did that work for firms. So I wasn't a freelancer doing that. I was working for a firm and they paid me and the client paid them. But I actually just looked at the last company that I worked for that did this was shortly before I became a coach, and their minimum package, now they include a lot of things like covers, et cetera, was 45 grand to do a book. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money. Anyway, so I was just really excited because I thought I could start providing this as a service to people who want to have a book and I don't have to charge $40,000 for it because I don't need to do that. It takes time. And obviously they're getting 30 years of experience, but it's not something that we have to sit down and do, 6 or 8 hours of Zoom interviews for, and then going back and forth a million times. So last year, I started offering it to a few select people, including Jacqueline and some other people. And I was really pleased with the results. And I didn't hear anything to the contrary from the people who were involved in the process. And one of the people, in fact, when I said at the end of it, I was like, "So what was that like for you?" And she was like, "Painless. Absolutely." So I thought, for a project like a book to be painless, I thought that was a pretty good achievement because for most people, writing and editing a book is not painless. And I'm speaking as someone who has been a writer all these years and has written, hundreds of millions of words probably. It gets easier, but it's never pain-free. And so that really made me excited that I had come up with a process that made it painless for the client. And essentially, this is how it works. It's very simple. I take something that you have spoken aloud. I like to have it be at least 60 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes long, like a class you've delivered. Or if you haven't done anything like that, I've had people just create something where they've gotten onto Zoom and they've talked for an hour or so as if they were teaching a class. And then they either give me the recording, or if they have the transcript, they give me that. I can also make a transcript, so that's not a problem. I take that material, I create an outline from it that sounds like a book outline. They approve the outline. Then I work on the first draft. And again, I think I've pretty much perfected using ChatGPT for this purpose, where I have it sound exactly like you as the author. So it's not me. It does not sound like me at all. And it doesn't sound like a machine. It sounds like the person's voice because it is coming from their voice, their literal voice, their speaking voice. So I then will create the first draft. Usually that first draft is pretty good, but needs maybe some more examples and things. So I will mark where that's needed. The person I'm working with, the author, will then put those things in. We have a couple more rounds and then it's finished. So the whole process it depends on how quickly someone gets back to me. If I have it on a fairly tight timetable, so things get done within 30 days. That would be like the maximum. But if somebody turns things around really fast, then I can do it much quicker. So one of the benefits that I see of my particular process, I'm going to just brag, is me, because I have so much experience and I will see things in a draft and that a person who's not a professional writer won't see, you won't catch. So I feel like all of my years of experience have brought me to this place where I can offer a service like this that is really good, turns out a great quality book. And you also know that you're getting someone who really knows what they're doing. And I think my own books also are good proof of that. Did you want to say something, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, which is I've also published another book, a memoir, excuse me, which is also a big fat book. And I had 3 rounds of editing on that, which costs it costs a lot of money, and B, depending on the quality of the editor that you employ, depends on what comes back.
Mhm.
So my experience with you and my mini book was I was astonished at the quality of the like it barely needed, just a few tweaks. And the the editing, the copy editing was just amazing. So people don't know that who haven't published. There's
Right.
so much. There's a developmental editor, there's a line editor, there's a proofreader. These are all separate functions, and you don't have to do any of that when you work with Mary.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that because I have worked as an editor, just as an editor of people's books. And I've worked as an editor in all of the roles that you've mentioned, where development editor, like really helping the person to formulate the book to start with, a line editor basically coming in and offering suggestions for passages that need to be rewritten or things that aren't clear. I haven't done as much proofreading, but I have done some. And I have designed this so that you don't have to take this manuscript to another editor because it's been edited by a professional, which is me. So I really do consider you to be the author of the book and me to be the editor of the book, even though I'm calling it quote unquote ghostwriting because I don't really know what else to call it because it has that element in there. But I really feel like I'm taking what you have already produced, forming it into a book from an editor's and writer's perspective, making sure that it flows well. And then whatever details need to be added in or tweaked, that's when we work a little bit more together and create a beautiful end product. So the way that I am offering this now is for you first. You're hearing this first. No one else knows about this. But as an upgrade bonus, if you decide to upgrade to the premium level of my school space, the Calm Money Moves school space, you will get this as a bonus. You will have a book that is probably around 8 to 10,000 words, and you will receive at the end of the process a manuscript that you will feel really great about. I also include a complete guide to publishing it on Amazon with, um, yeah, thanks. With instructions on how to make a cover and things like that. That's not included in this. The manuscript is included. But the guide is pretty thorough and tells you, make sure you don't miss any of the steps that you need to follow if you're not familiar with self-publishing on Amazon, or you can publish it any other way that you want to on any other platform, or you can make it something that you offer on your website. However you want to do it, it's up to you. I don't own any copyright to it or anything else. Oh, I should also add that when I use ChatGPT, I do not share it. It's not part of that training, that ChatGPT does. That's all turned off. So there's I'm not letting ChatGPT get its hands on your intellectual property. That's all turned off. Somebody asked me about that. So normally I would charge upwards of $2,500 just for this service, but it's included for you if you decide to upgrade into the premium level by February 1. So I'm offering it to you guys first because you're Jacqueline's people, and I'm going to offer it later on to the rest of my community, but I wanted to make sure that you had first dibs on the spots for this. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I was realizing yesterday, I'm going to get like teary eyed saying this. I can't believe this, but I did yesterday when I thought about this. Yes, I was realizing, like, what if I was thinking I've got like 90 members of Calm Money Moves, and I know some of them already have books, but I was like, what if I could help all 90 of those people get books out this year?
Mhm.
Like, what if I could figure out some way to get that done? Because my husband's a writer and editor too. I was like, maybe he could, join in and help me. And I was like, wouldn't that be insane if we could get like 90 people's books online and out there this year and have them be able to use it as a beautiful centerpiece for everything else that they're doing? Because that's how I have seen my books, as things that I can point people to. If you want to know how I work with people, here's a book that I've written that's, $2 or whatever. It's a great way to get to know me. It's such a nice thing to be able to go back to all the time. It simplifies what you're saying to people. It simplifies your marketing. It simplifies your offers. It's like to me, it's the ultimate business tool that's also really exciting. It's not like, an email service. It's an actual book, It's just such a great thing. So, yeah, I can get kind of emotional about that because I just know what my books have meant to other people and to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you have a question or something to
I
add?
have something to add, which is, because of this collaboration and you're my people, which I love, I will also then at the other end have a group seminar or something where we can take your books to the next step. So
Mhm.
Mary's not including that in her package. So what I'll do is help you get it published on Amazon or wherever you want to do. So whatever the next steps are, I'll guide you through that as part of your existing membership.
Yeah. And if you're already a premium member of my group, you've already received a bonus for being a premium member, but we can have a little chat about how I could offer this to you at a reduced rate. So just letting you know. But yeah, the only step that you would need to take advantage of my offer is upgrade to premium and then just message me on school. Or I'll probably see it come through. I can message you and let you know what the step is. It's basically the only thing you need to have before we start is either a recording or a transcript of you speaking for 60 to 90 minutes. That's literally all you need. You don't need anything else. I can do everything else with you or for you. So
And even if you think you haven't got that, I know that you've published some, helped some people who didn't have, thought they didn't have it.
that's right. Yes, I did. I'm thinking of two people in particular, and what what I helped them to do was figure out what they really wanted their book to be about. We had some back and forth on that. And then they went and recorded themselves, like I said, on Zoom. And it was quite easy because once people start to go, "Oh, it would be great if I had a book on this," and we kind of outline it, no, "Okay, what do you need to cover? This. Oh, yeah, I can talk about that for hours," and then they're off to the races. So sometimes it just helps to have someone run you through that little process, and it becomes very obvious what your book can be about.
Any thought, questions?
It's quite stunning to think you could have a book in, without all the heartache. And I do write. Years ago, I wrote a child's book and I never did anything with it, but that was because I wanted to make it about feelings. It's called Let's Keep Feeling. And I wanted to put spaces in where people could draw what I was talking about. Um, and then I had this vision that I would have it as a concertina book, so it would unfold, but I never figured out how I could do it.
Maybe you need to go back to that.
So there's that one, but I've also been writing about my, because I've lived a long time and things have changed, um, like schooling, work. I worked in social work and probation, or education has all changed. So I was going to chronicle. I've started actually. I've done quite a lot on it. So maybe we could do something with that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, the beautiful thing about this process is that because it is painless, it can be done more than one time. So if you have ideas for multiple small books that could then form a series, for example, you don't have to tackle an 80,000 word book. You can work at, 10, 10, 10, 10, something like that. And, that's, it's sad to say this, but I know you guys know that people have very short attention spans now. And I really do find that with these short books, people really appreciate it. They really do. I've gotten a lot of comments on my Amazon book pages like, oh, this was so concise and helpful. Like, that's good. So yeah, the idea that you could go from start to finish and have a completed manuscript that then Jacqueline could help you take the next steps with, in a month or even less, it's kind of unheard of. But it's because, again, I'm going to toot my own horn. It's because I know how to use the tool properly, and I bring all of this experience to it. So anything that other people might stumble over just because they don't have the experience of working with words like I do, that's just not part of the process. That's all. You don't have to even think about that part.
And you're fast.
I am very fast. Yes, I am.
You just get stuff done.
I get stuff done. Yeah. I also am working on fiction, not using AI, and my daughter gets mad because I write really. She's like, how do you write so fast? I don't know. I just do. I said, I think it has to do with the fact that I've been writing for 30 plus. That's probably a big part of it.
So I wanted to bring us back to the mini book revolution in a way, because it's absolutely right what you're saying. And I'm in other entrepreneurial circles and they all recommend mini books, mini business books, books under 10,000 words, things that people, a way of being able to help someone quickly and easily. I speak to people that maybe couldn't afford to do my programs, but I know that I can immediately help them by either sending them my book or them buying my book. And they can get immediate results.
That's right.
Very satisfying. And it is it's a bit of a revolution. There's quite people doing it now. But still not everybody. So you're still unique when you do it.
And the fun thing about this, from my vantage point, like I was saying earlier, is, I have this vision of everyone having their own book, of everyone being an author, and having that reach that is really only possible through a book. And, I know that technology is quite advanced now and will continue to advance, but people still read books. They still will always read books. I'm counting Kindle and, ebooks and all of that in there. People still read, and I don't think that's going away. I thought at first when ebooks started to become a thing, I thought, oh no, our print book's going to go the way of the dinosaur, but they haven't. They haven't. So I don't think that as long as people are here, I think they're going to want to read.
There's a question that came to mind for me around, people might think, well, how do you get it out there then? What do you do next? And then there's so many ways, and I'll let you share your ways. But one of the things that I've done is I did a collaboration with some other authors of mini books, and we did a Black Friday book mob, and we all advertised, if you like, each other's books. We said, these 10 books are part of this thing, support us, and we all put it onto Kindle for 99 cents. We sold there was actually 7 authors in the end. We sold 1,000 copies between us.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And of the 7 authors, so there's 10 books in total, 8 of them got to #1 on Amazon. And the other 2, including mine, were in the top 10.
Great.
So it really boosted sales. And one of the things that I didn't realize is afterwards, so one of the books that is already #1 on Amazon and always is, now when people buy his book, my book comes up because it in the also read.
Yes, and that, yes, and I think,
So it's like free advertising.
Absolutely, and that has helped me a lot because there have been people like Michael Neal who, we kind of have the same audience, and so my books get recommended. So that's helped. things like that. So yeah, any kind of collaboration like that is really fun. I've also done things like had people vote for their favorite cover. So I'll create, 3 different versions of the cover and I'll ask my audience which one they like, so there's all kinds of fun things you can do with that. I actually was experimenting in Canva the other day because there's a book. Now, this is really funny. I have to tell you guys this because this made me laugh so hard today. Short version of this is that I had used a platform to sell an ebook that I hadn't put on Amazon yet. And I thought I had taken it down because I wasn't going to use this particular platform anymore to sell stuff. But I saw a sale of this book come through today. And I was like, what? How did that happen? I thought I took all that down. Well, it turns out that I had hidden it from my store, but whoever still had the link from months ago when I was talking about it decided to buy it. But I just had the biggest laugh. I was like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious that somebody actually bought that. But I was going to make a new cover for this particular book to put on Amazon. And I was in Canva and wow, their AI is really good. It was giving me some really interesting ideas because I want this to be a very bold cover because the book is about banishing procrastination. It's called Banish the Butt. And so I wanted it to be sort of a bold cover and it was really coming up with some cool things. So even really, easy to use tools like that are big help when it comes to creating covers. And also Amazon offers cover design as well. They have a tool in there.
There was a couple of things. One is that the size of the book, like Jacqueline has said before about people not finishing when they do online courses, not finishing them. And in a tiny book like that, it doesn't take anything, does it? People just do finish it. And it's always impressed me. Your books, since you started writing them, have been absolutely amazing. You can read them in no time at all. And they're so, and what I really like about them too, apart from reading them, which was great, is I love the titles of them, which are nothing to do with 3 principles at all. So they're things that bring in a whole lot of other people. They're not just for people who already know about the 3 principles. That's what I really liked about them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're really easy to read. And then it's, it's like it really is a step to. I just love the titles of them and the books. They just really.
Thank you. Well, that's definitely something that I help people with in this process. So if you're stuck on a title and subtitle, that's something that I can work on with you because the title does matter, as you said. And especially if you're trying to attract people to a new idea or something, it can't be so obscure or obtuse that they're like, what is that? It has to be a grabby title. So that's definitely included in this process as well. I think you already had your title for that one, didn't you, Jacqueline? Or did we work on that together? I'm kind of not remembering. Maybe we did a little bit.
I think I can't remember.
I can't either. I'd have to go back through all my notes, but
I know we worked a lot on the subtitle.
that we did, yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that I had the title or I was close to this title, but I remember the subtitle we definitely worked on. And in the same way, it is really, I think I might mention the principles because I talk about the understanding, but that's it. It's not a principles book,
No, yeah.
which I'm proud of.
And it is fun for me to help your voice, meaning you, if you decide to work with me, your voice come through as much as possible, because that's really what it's all about. It's not just your message that we're trying to get through. It's your voice that we are bringing out even more. And to Jacqueline's point about an editor, that's an editor's real job, is to make sure that the person's voice comes through, because a professional writer like myself, I've had 30 years of experience in developing my writing voice. And that's one reason why I can write quickly and it still sounds like me. But most people aren't professional writers. And so my role, and it's always been this way since I've been working with people like this, is to make sure that the book really sounds like them. And so I find that really fun and exciting to do.
Also, what you help, because I've had 2 books written with your help, and the other one isn't published yet. And what you helped me with was you would come back with a short story would be good here, and would put places where I could make it more colourful with a short story
Mm-hmm.
and bring my words to life. And I've read a number of the Mary published books, and they all sound like the people that you published for, or you help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was a bit concerned about that. Oh, they'll all sound the same, or they'll all sound like Mary, and they don't.
No.
No. Then the innovative things different people came up with, having quotes, or because you helped with the cover designs as well. Is that part of this?
That's not part of this one. That's part of my whole thing. But I can certainly offer some suggestions for that. And yeah, so, we won't leave you stranded. Let's put it that way between the two of us.
Sharon, do you want to? Because I know that Sharon produced a book based on your guide.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about your experience of Mary's guide?
I just did it, basically. But I did get the idea from you, and I had a course, or I still have a course on Insight Timer, and so that was kind of the framework of it that I used, and I had there's audios obviously on there, but I wanted to add some stories, and I wanted to talk. Actually, it was 2 things. I wanted to have a go at writing the book because I wanted to see if I could finish something. Start it, finish it, and everything else. So, this is it. So it's got a horse flavor, obviously.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about how the horses led me to the 3 principles. So I think I started it last year sometime, and then thought, no, I can, I looked on the Kindle publishing and I was like, oh my God. And then I did it basically over Christmas, just before Christmas. I just sat down and I did nothing else. And I did, finished it and did the whole cover, everything. And actually it's been lovely because I've had some really lovely comments back, and from people I don't know, which is nice. Obviously, family have always said nice things because most of them anyway would. But I've had people message me. It's only 10,000 words, and there's been a couple of messages from people I don't know who have said really nice things, that it's really kind of helped them in difficult moments, So that's really cool. And the other thing that's really helped with is picking up the phone and talking to people about what I'm doing. So rather than thinking I've got to reach out to find clients, I've got something to talk about. I'm excited about my book, and I've started a community on school, and the 2 things together. And it's all under the same kind of banner. So I've been literally just picking up the phone and talking to people about that. And that's led to different openings and opportunities. And it's just a really nice feeling to have something that you're genuinely, excited about, that isn't selling a program.
Right. Exactly. Because you don't have to sell in the same way.
Yeah.
when you have authored a book. And I want to congratulate you, Sharon, for using my guide to put that book together. That's really cool. That's why I wrote the book, to help people who want to do it themselves so that they can. All that to say, a lot of people don't want to do it themselves.
Well, it was, I must admit, there were tears and not writing it.
So it wasn't painless.
In the publishing and like,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll laugh, but I didn't even know how to format a Word document.
Okay.
So, getting all that tech was a challenge, but I'm really
Yes.
proud that I did it.
Yeah. It should be.
And also because my first idea was to use a webinar I'd done ages ago, 2 years ago. And I did the transcript and everything, but it was too complicated. There was too much in it.
Mhm.
And that's when I kind of put it down. But then I had the idea about the course on Insight Timer, and I was just like, yeah, I can do that.
Mhm.
But it's definitely, thank you to you for the idea and the inspiration.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could do that.
And I'm going to do more, and I would love at some point to have a bit more professional help in the editing and everything, because I actually don't want you to read my.
I'm gonna go buy it. I'm planning not to.
Yes, of course you can, but you know what I mean? I'm just sat here going, oh, you just I'm not a professional writer.
That's funny.
And if anyone is watching this and they think, but I haven't got a masterclass or I haven't got contact one of us, because I have spoken to people who thought that, and then you can easily, there's always
Yes.
something that you can look at, like the person that we spoke about earlier who went off then and just did the thing on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And Raha's bought your book. What do you do? Awesome. Well, please leave a review, but a nice one on Amazon. Yeah, speak if you'd like a book because you know that it will help with your profile and you don't know what that might be, then just speak to us, because I bet there is something. I haven't spoken to anyone yet that I couldn't find something, but
Oh, yeah.
is.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And let me just get kind of meta here, if you will, is the fact that I wrote and published that book called The 1 Hour Mini Book Method means that Sharon now has a book.
Yeah.
Okay. So just saying,
Well,
this is like an exponential thing here.
we're going to go even more meta. The fact that you published the joy formula. We wouldn't think we're having this conversation.
That's right. That's right.
You wouldn't have a community of people and et cetera, et cetera. So it's all, it's so good to have a book.
Mhm.
I really encourage it. I really do. And thing that I heard lately was they don't call it the personal brand anymore. They're calling it authority business. So you're an authority because you're an authority of what you're sharing, because you're sharing from your embodied experience. And the root word of authority is author.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
If you've got an authority business, you need a book.
Yeah. I mean, if you are the face of what you're doing in any way at all, it's just such a big help. And these days, let's put it this way. I've never had anyone say, oh, it's not published by a real publisher. I never had anyone say that to me ever. It just doesn't matter anymore. I mean, maybe it does in some circles, but not for us.
Something about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's because of your professionalism. So a lot of people do look, and there are some things that give away self-publishing, which I'm not going to go into, but there are things that give away, and you don't do those things. So the level of professionalism that goes into the book it looks like it's been published by a publisher because you use those techniques, which I just happened to know about because I was heavily involved in the publisher who published my memoir.
Mm-hmm.
And that I now always look and know, I know a self-published book, but I don't know when it's been professionally self-published. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And people
And
do pick up on editing issues and so
they
on.
do. I'm sure you guys have, have read books where it was obvious that nobody proofread it or anything. I am fortunate that like I said, I live with another professional writer and editor, and my daughter is one too. So they read all of my stuff and find my goofs and everything.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah, this was fun. This was really, really
I'd love
fun.
to hear anybody's takeaways from this.
Yeah, it's very encouraging. You know? Yeah, it really is just to think that you can start, complete, and not long after that, you've got your.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I've always been a big fan of technology. I've been involved in online education for like more than 25 years too. And I know technology has its problems, but I'm just very grateful to have these tools now that makes it possible for me to help people at a price that is not $45,000. Even before I was the company that I was working with, this was a few years ago, the bare minimum they charged was 20 something thousand back then. And, for most people who are working for themselves, that's just not a realistic price to pay. Whereas, 2 to 3,000, even 5,000 is workable for most people as an investment in their business. And so, yeah, I'm just really grateful for these tools that have allowed me to bring my writing and editing skills to more people and to use them in a way that I feel is even more powerful than before. I don't know how to put that exactly, but that's how it feels to me. It feels like these tools have empowered me to use my skills even more honestly in a more profound and helpful way than ever.
So, in closing, could you take a moment and think of something that nice to say to Mary in gratitude for her being here tonight?
Yeah, hi there.
Hi, Raha.
I just wanted to say that both of you are inspirational, actually. And I love the simplicity that Mary always comes out with. And every time I listen to you, I feel inspired to do things. And even this book thing. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Raha.
You always deliver, which is lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to just add on that. I said it beautifully. And thank you to both of you. I love the collaboration here too. It's really good. Yeah, and Mary, you've helped me in the past, probably more than you realize, because I kind of, come in and out a bit. But yeah, you do always deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. That's so nice.
And the same from me too. But also tonight, Mary, I mean, I've listened to you, I don't know how many times.
Lots of times.
Right. But tonight, you're just like really, really the most I've seen you excited about doing something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And, like I said, I think it was because of that thought that I had yesterday of, wow, like I could really help dozens and dozens of people to do this. I really, that's something I could really do. And
Yeah.
I suddenly just got this I had this realization, you're going to laugh, after buying a pain au chocolat here. It was a really good one. I'll just, a really patisserie boulangerie. And I was walking with it and I was like, oh my gosh, like So I'll give credit to the pain au chocolat too. Excellent.
I really know where the magic is.
Still remember from I first came across you when you were doing your audios, your
Yes.
audios things, and so I can still remember you from back then, which was really,
That's a long time ago. That was, I know, that was 20.
About the same time I got into it as well.
Yeah. That's because I started that in 2015.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, Anne.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, it's amazing to be with you all, and the collaboration is fantastic. And I've got another idea as well.
Okay. I'm ready.
I want to talk about aging well.
Not aging at all.
Not aging at all. We're ageless. Let's face it.
Beautiful.
And a little book would really help. Not
That's for
only
sure.
for me to get my ideas down, but I'd like to invite other people to tell their stories of how, they've grown up but not grown older. That makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mary. Lots of love.